Hello, thank you for joining me today on the subject of procrastination. What a difficult word. To some people, hearing the word alone causes them stress, literally. Just to be called a procrastinator or to be thought of as a procrastinator. Something that they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to hear about it. Procrastination, however, is a serious behavior which has long been followed by psychologists and many behaviorists for the type of problems that it brings about in homes, in businesses, and in personal lives. What is procrastination? What is the determination that procrastination can create some type of stress? Let's go first by the definition. Procrastination, basically, as defined, is the counterproductive deferment of any action or any acts to a later time. That's what it does. I don't want to do it right now, I'll do it later. Whether or not is right is not the point. I'm just pushing it off to later. I'm putting that on the calendar, but for later, not for now. Now the psychologists, interestingly enough, and all the writings and hundreds of books have been written about that, they refer to this specific behavior as a mechanism for coping basically with a type of anxiety which is associated with either starting or completing any kind of tasks or decisions. So the person is not quite comfortable and I'm not sure about it, so therefore I'm going to put it off till later. I'm not comfortable making that decision now. I'm not ready to make that decision now. However, procrastination, as we know it, may result in stress, in a sense of guilt or a crisis, and a severe loss of personal productivity, and even some kind of social disapproval for not meeting the responsibilities that the person has. How does that come about? How do we overcome it? What do we do with this procrastination? First and foremost, very practical object to think about. Why put off till later what has come to you today, right now? If something has happened at this moment, it's an opportunity that cannot be missed. Now you may say, well, it may not be the appropriate thing to do right now. Let me just give you an example. You're in the middle of seeing a patient, and you're actually treating that patient or going over an exam. And interestingly enough, your cell phone goes off. So you pull it out and you look at it. And it's someone from your family asks you a question. Do you respond to it? If you say yes, that means you're really not paying attention to the patient. You're not focusing on the patient. If you say no, would you be called a procrastinator for putting this off to a later time? The answer is no. Not in such a subject. You see, there are times when you must focus and do your work. Those are time of work, time with the family, time with your social environment. There are times when you have to focus on what you do at 100%. Genuine, unadulterated focus on what you do. Those things are not negotiable. Those things are not to be moved. You have to trust in your hopes and not your fear. And to do so, you have to know that what you're doing is very important and focus at that moment. It's interesting how some days ago, as you know, I always refer to my children as a phenomenal example on how business is to be run, because I believe that being a businessman, being a doctor, being a father, being a mentor, being a consultant, being a brother, being a sister, being anyone, you have to learn from all the experiences that are around you. As a father, I was sitting with my daughter just recently, and we were having a discussion. As she was speaking, interestingly enough, my phone went off. So she stopped speaking, thinking that I was going to pick it up. And I just kept looking at her. And she said, "Are you going to pick that up?" I said, "Not really, not now. I'm speaking with you." She said, "Well, it could be important." So nothing is more important than speaking with you right now. I'm listening to what you're saying. And I didn't pick it up. See, now that gives me not only the advantage of being in charge of the situation, but controlling actually what to do now and what to put off till later. And in this case, I chose to respond to my phone later. Now, I know for a fact that this discussion with my daughter is not going to last for weeks or days or hours. It's a short discussion. It's an interaction between father and daughter, and it needs to be focused. So I'm not putting off to a time where I'm no longer have a control, but rather putting it off to a time that is most appropriate to do it. That's not procrastination, that's focusing on the subject at hand. Procrastination is where I am given a job or a duty or a task which I have to do now, and it can be done and it should be done now, and I put it off till later. Now, interestingly enough, every path in life serves a purpose. Nothing happens haphazardly. Nothing happens just because. It doesn't work this way. If you look at the world the way it was created, there is such a beautiful, calculated, extremely precise motion to everything in the world. Everything. So if that's the case, shouldn't my life be this way? Shouldn't my schedule be that way? You don't have to follow where the path may lead, where just perhaps sometimes endless way. But you need to go instead where there is no path and actually leave a trail. To do so in your life, whether professional, social, personal, spiritual, you have to create that life. You have to create that lead. And to do that, basically, you have to get rid of the putting it off till tomorrow. So what I want to do right now is I want to give you some practical advice on how to do this on a day-to-day basis. For instance, every single morning when you walk into your office, you need to look at the statistical analysis of what happened the day before so you can make some commitment for the day to come. This is the beginning of the day. You should have some commitment. You should have some goals to reach for. The aim of what your purpose is going to be for that day. So finding out how many new patients are scheduled, how many patients visits are going to be, what are the issues on the agenda, what is going on for that day. During that moment, I'm focused entirely on finding out what I have to do for that moment, for that time, so I can make my day productive. At the same time, I calculate my timing so that everything that will happen during the day will specifically happen at the time that I call for it. So if I know that by lunchtime my patients are finished and this is the time that I'm going to go over the report, I don't put this off. Now once in a while there may be an emergency, but this is once in a while. We're talking about perhaps once a year, twice a year. A phone call happens, someone called me, it was very important, and I couldn't change that schedule. That's once or twice a year. Otherwise, there should be no emergency. If I decided that as soon as I finish with my patient, I will see to it that I sit down and go over my reports, and that's what I do on that day. And at 12 o'clock exactly, or perhaps 12:15, it's okay if I'm a little late, because indeed I was seeing patients, and this patient took perhaps a little longer than I had anticipated. But by the time I sit down, at lunchtime, I will do my reports, and I don't put those off. And I will not move them from that chair until I finish those reports. You take one project at a time and finish and complete that project to the best of what you have. Your attitude determines your action, and your action determines your accomplishment. Once I know that and I realize my commitment to my life, then I can finish the projects that I have in front of me. And I don't procrastinate. And I make sure that that project gets done before I get on to the next project. That doesn't mean I cannot multitask. Multitask means that while I'm doing my project, I may be able to answer the phone and at the same time perhaps even tell my secretary what to do. Tell my staff member where to go. Tell a patient some information. That's multitasking. But still, at the end of my task, while I'm doing my project, I must finish it. If I don't finish a project, that's called procrastination. That is the counterproductive deferment that we spoke about of that act to a later time. And that's why the definition of the word procrastination is counterproductive. Not productive, counterproductive. I'm going against myself. I'm working against the current. I'm working towards messing up everything that I built on today. I'm going backwards. For why? For what's the reason? So I can defer this to a later time. Now the fact that you deferred it, does that make sense to you? Why would you do that? Do you think you're going to do it later? Certainly not. Most of the time we don't. The reason why we defer these actions to a later time, it's because there's an anxiety that we've built inside, either completing that task, or for whatever reason, not even being able to make a decision as to what we should do with that. I'm just not sure. I don't know. So I'll decide about it later. I'll do it later. Make the decision now. If you're having difficulty, if you're having a question, if you're having a doubt, if you're in balance and you're not sure what to do with it, sit down, think it through, and do it. Procrastination is unnecessary if you think about that. Procrastination is something which is not part of a successful business person. It shouldn't be part of that. It is counterproductive. That's the definition of it. And it's unnecessary. What matters, however, is that you decrease your stress level on a day-to-day basis. Overall, if you think about it, if you do something that's worthwhile, instead of talking about it, just do it. Just do it. I hear all the time doctors telling me, I'm behind on my reports, or I want to have these office meetings, but I don't have the time. We have not gone over our statistics for weeks or months. I meant to call you, Dr. Dahan. I've just gotten around to it. I'm reading my emails, but there's so many other interactions. I've got so much on my plate. The truth is, if it's come to you, it's because you have the ability to overcome it. If something comes your way, you have been given the ability, the process, the tools to overcome it. Nothing happens to anyone that they cannot overcome. Nothing. Case in point, I'll give it to you. The story of hundreds of thousands of cases worldwide where a child, God forbid, and we should not know from any of this, has been hit by a truck. And the mother sees this incident as a tragedy. She suddenly runs. And here comes this frail, young woman who does not have the strength to even carry her groceries. She immediately gets to surge the power within her to miraculously pick up the truck, lift it off the ground, and pull her son from this danger. Where did that come from? This will to live, this will to help, this inner, conscientious, constant ability to overcome obstacles. It's given to you. It's given to each and every one of us. Nothing happens without a reason. And nothing happens to you without the ability for you to overcome it. Once you live with that, you can do pretty much everything in the world. Everything in the world. Because as we said before, every path in this way of life serves as a purpose. The cards, as it says, the cards that you have in your hand, the game, the cards that you hold, let's call that the cards of life. They mean very little if you think about it. It's just the cards that you're holding. But the way that you play them, that's what counts. Holding them is nothing. So the different things that happen about you, around you, throughout your life, throughout your day, at home, in business, in your car, those are impressions, information that comes to you. How you react to them will make a difference. So, do you react to those, or do you actually respond to them? A procrastinator responds to them. That's what they do. Why? I will take care of it. But not now, later. Someone who is not a procrastinator will say, I'll react right now. If this is something that's come my way, I can handle it, I can do it. Not later on, I'll finish it right now. Ask yourself a question. When you're at home and you take a drink, and you're finished with the glass, do you just take the glass and put it on the counter? Or do you actually rinse it and put it away? Now you may say, well, that's a little excessive. That's just compulsive. That's just somewhat erratic. That's just someone who's just overly clean. Absolutely not. If it's going to have to be washed later, and if I know I'm going to be the one doing the dishes, I'll wash it right now. Now that may be a small example, but the same happens taking care of business. How many of us procrastinate about taxes? until the last day or the last week. And now we call frantic the accountants and everybody else. It's, what do we do? What's wrong with our taxes? When are we going to be ready? Interesting thing. For several years, I used to take my children on the 14th of April in the evening at midnight. 15th of April, which is the next day actually, and took them there at midnight. I wanted them to see by the main post office where we live the lineup till midnight of thousands and thousands of cars of people coming in with their taxes and just handing them. And you see, the post office is prepared for that. The postmen are ready, they're all lined up, and they just take on packages. You don't even have to come out of your car. You just have to stand there and just hand them to them, because they know that they have to be stamped by that time. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people do this every single year. Why did you procrastinate? What's the point of that? What's the purpose? It serves no purpose. So procrastination is counterproductive, because it is the deferment of that task or this action to a later time, even though you know it is counterproductive and it will not serve its purpose. So, let's see if we can this week, this very week, work on that. Let's see if together we can take one project at a time and see if we can finish them. It's interesting. You're looking at my desk right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stand right there. Look at my desk. This is where I sit. Right here is my chair. Right there is my desk. And you're saying, his desk is so clean. He probably cleans it up for this video. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will not leave more than 3 papers on my desk, ever. I'll do one, I'll work on the second, and the third will stay on the side. If a 4th paper comes along the way, stop. Something is wrong. And I move it around. This is how my desk looks. By the way, before I leave every single night, I will, at all times, take all of my papers and put them all aside in one folder. Absolutely. And interestingly enough, at the end of the day, I'm going to show you something. This is the folder which sits on my desk at the end of the day. So it's just a black folder, and all the projects, whatever paper, whatever I haven't finished, I'll put it in the folder and I'll leave it in there, and it'll sit on my desk. And this is all I have. I'll show you right here. This is all I have sitting on my desk, just like this, every night. Because when I come in the morning, this is what I'll see, just that folder. Now let me show you what it says in front of that folder, so you can see it. This is what it says. And perhaps I could zoom in, maybe, so you could see it a little better. So see if I can do that. I don't know if you can read it, but here it is. As you can see, it says, today was an awesome day. Tomorrow will be even better. Now, interestingly enough, don't worry about this. This just means, please, thank God in Hebrew. And here it says, with God's help. So, basically, this is how I end my day. Thank God, today was an awesome day. Please God, tomorrow will be even better. This is how I start my day. This is how every single day I end my day. And the first thing I will see tomorrow when I come into the office is this. Because it's supposed to be a new day. And I know that the challenges that have been given to me, God Almighty will give me all the power and the tools necessary to overcome them. Once you live with that, you're invincible. Nothing can bother you. This is the philosophy that I impress upon you, and this is the type of living that I wish upon you. So that procrastination becomes something that doesn't even exist in our dictionary. You can do it. I've done it. You can certainly do it. We can all do it. And we deserve it. For the love of our patients, the love of our friends and family, the love of ourselves, but most of all, to know and believe on a daily basis that what we have done has been a fulfilled day, completed with my trust in my hopes and the life that I lead. Thank you very much for taking the time. Have a great day. And don't procrastinate. Thank you.